Welcome students. Uh, I hope you all are doing great. And today we are going to start with the mains discussion for Geography 2024 Mains GS1 Geography section. Uh, Quite a tricky section this year, 2024. Questions were, not straightforward, but were doable with some kind of a logic, decoding of words, and connecting with the concepts. We can actually come to the right conclusion that what is the actual demand of the question. You guys showed amazing interest and energy and dedication for the replay 2024, and we discussed those answers. Now let's come to the actual model answers. What should be written? How can we write how can we address the actual demand of the question in those 2 pages and those 3 pages and the limited words? That is going to be a very important aspect for today's session. Okay, so we are going to start with this. We are going to discuss each and everything: how to write introduction for geography, how to address the demand of the question, how to design a good structure, and what should be the flow of the answer, when to write way forward, how to conclude, what should be the conclusion in geography, because writing conclusion for geography questions is always a challenge, because the questions are either concept based, event based, or mechanism based, or phenomena based. So it becomes quite a tricky task, and people end up writing very basic conclusions, like this plays a very important role in geography, and this event is quite important for this, and this phenomena is quite important. So we are going to learn each and everything: how to improve our conclusions, how to improve our structuring, how to improve our flow of the answer, what should be a good introduction, not ideal introduction. We do not require ideal answers. We do not need ideal introductions. We need realistic introduction, because in practical life, real life में लिखना 7 minutes में ही है. 7 minutes and 10 minutes में लिखना है. So we should not aim for ideal answers. और ideal आपको लिखने की जरूरत नहीं. Even the rank 1, the person who is getting rank 1, all India rank 1, is also not writing ideal answers. Is like writing comparatively good answers. So we should learn how can we make the answer writing very efficient by thinking in the limited time period, by analyzing that how can we write a good introduction, how can we approach an answer with a pre-decided mindset, that how to begin and how to structure the body, and then how to conclude. And the biggest aim of ours while writing mains answer, the biggest topmost priority is addressing the demand of the question, which you should keep repeating this word: demand of the question. This should be our priority. We should address the demand of the question. We should know how many demands are there, how we have to approach those demands, and we have to do justice with all the demands. That should be our priority. If we do this, 50% of our work is done. Then the content, structuring, flow, intro, and conclusion are going to matter. But addressing demands and all the demands, I'm going to use this word demand around 50 to 60 times today in this session. So you should also, while writing the mains answer, what should come in your mind all the time is the word demand of the question. And how to address the demand, we have to do justice with all the demands of the question. And that should be our priority. Okay, so let's begin. We are going to begin with questions. Like, this is the question we are going to have. This is a 10-marker question which was asked in 2024 Mains GS1. You all know. The question is, what is the concept of a demographic winter? Is the world moving towards such a situation? Elaborate. Okay, every word we are going to discuss. What is the concept of demographic winter? This is the first demand. This is the demand number 1. This is how you are going to write in your mains also. This is the first demand. This is the demand number 1. This is the first demand. Then, is the world moving towards such a situation? Elaborate. This is the second demand. Okay. Is the world moving towards such a situation? Elaborate. This is the second demand. Now, how to write this answer? How to begin? How to introduce? Okay. And what all things do we have to write? What all things should be there in the answer? क्या क्या होना चाहिए? And practicality में देखेंगे कि 150 words में किस तरह से address करना है? Because that is the biggest challenge, isn't it? Then, so now we have two demands. Okay, two demands of the answer, this question. And the question is question-based question. Means, is the world moving towards? Is the world, this is a question mark. Okay, is the world moving towards such a situation? Means, the question itself is asking a question. That means, when the UPSC asks this kind of questions, within the question, आपको balanced view देना है. Because there cannot be only one aspect across the spectrum. Okay? कि is the world moving? तो आप लिख दोगे, yes, the world is moving towards demographic winter. You have to take side कि yes, there are certain countries who are moving towards demographic winter, and there are certain countries which are not following this trend. And the conclusion has to be solution-based and futuristic and balanced. Because we have to follow balanced approach. This is very important in such type of questions where the question itself is asking a question. So we have to follow a balanced approach. Let's see what should be an ideal answer for this. Then we are going to see a realistic aspect also कि 2 pages में and 150 words में इसको किस तरह से address कर सकते थे to get the most, to write an most optimum answer to fetch maximum number of marks in the real exam conditions. Okay? So what should be the introduction? देखिए पहली डिमांड थी कि what is the concept of demographic winter, तो आप define the concept of demographic winter, आप ये कर दीजिए. उसके बाद आपकी body start हो जाएगी. In our body we are going to write the key characteristics of demographic winter. Demographic winter की key characteristics क्या है? Okay, its social aspects, its economic aspects, okay, and then ethical aspects, values aspects, societal aspects of demographic winter. What is going to happen? Demographic aspects also we have to write. Then old age population, care economy, economic aspect we have to write. Political aspect we can also integrate if we have space. Then the second demand, is the world moving towards such a towards demographic winter? That means, is the world moving towards such a situation? Okay, so here we have to give a balanced view कि yes, there are certain countries who are moving towards or following this trend. However, there are certain countries which are not following this trend. Okay, and we are going to give some data. If you obviously, if you have seen UPSC Prelims 2024, Prelims 2020, I'm not talking about mains, Prelims paper 2024, there was a question that certain countries in the world are experiencing decline in fertility rate. And some countries were written as 1, 2, 3, 4, some name of the African countries, and some Italy and France, and all these countries were there. And you have to choose the option in which you have to mark that these countries are experiencing decline in fertility rate. Okay, so that kind of data we should have, that, or we should have the basic understanding that which countries of the world are facing decline in fertility rate and which countries are not facing such a kind of situation. Okay. Then important is giving a balanced view, showing that yes, certain countries are following this trend, but not all the countries. फिर हम example देंगे कि these are the countries of Africa or South Asia and Southeast Asia. These countries are not following this trend. And then we are going to give a futuristic, balanced and solution-based conclusion. This should be the structure of this answer. Now let's see ideal answer for this, this question. This is the definition. Demographic winter refers to a significant and prolonged decline in the population growth due to low fertility rates, aging population, and increased mortality rates. This trend leads to shrinking workforce and long-term socio-economic challenges. Okay, this is the introduction. This introduction we can use. Then as we discussed, the first part of the body will be the key features or key characteristics of demographic winter. यहाँ पे बात हो गई है decline link fertility rate, obviously. Okay, then we have example of Italy and Spain. Then we have aging population. Definitely fertility rate will decline. It will be less than the death rate. Then the life expectancy or average life of the country is going to increase. And the first consequence will be, the direct consequence will be aged population, dependent population. Okay. Then elderly individuals. Okay. By 2050, there's a report approximately 35% of the Europe's population will be over 60. So this kind of data we are giving to substantiate our point. Substantiate. Another word which you have to keep in mind. Dekho, friends, substantiating anything is giving it a validation. Okay, giving it a validation. आप क्या बोलते हैं? For example, someone is writing a simple point that the top world countries or the developed countries are experiencing demographic winter. उस बात का कोई validation नहीं है. It is a very broad point. आप कोई भी बोल सकता है. Substantiating with some relevant example of the countries, name of the countries, and then if you have data well enough, report if you have world population report of or any kind of UN report and then World Bank report, आप उसको quote करिए, आप उसको करिए. This is called substantiation. This is what you need in all the mains answer. Trust me. Without this, your point is broad. It's like it's baseless. इसका कोई सर पैर नहीं है. Normally, anyone can say there is poverty in India, and no one is going to believe you until and unless you are going to substantiate it. Anyone, if for example, someone asks, is there terrorism in India? Is there poverty in India? Is the education how is the education? How is the education poor? Is the health poor? You cannot reply in yes or no. You have to support your argument with a report, data, example, recent event, anything. But substantiating your point is the most important thing. Aging population, okay. Then changing family structure, obviously with aging population and less number of children, the nuclear families are going to increase. Family structure and the family values like individualism, okay, these are going to increase. We can see the problems of individual value system, psychological problems like anxiety, loneliness, depression, and poor mental health. So this is also going to be a characteristics of demographic winter. Let's move forward. Now the second demand is the world moving towards such a situation of demographic winter. What you will write? Countries, several regions worldwide are witnessing trend associated with the concept of demographic winter. Okay, let's see. Countries facing demographic winter. This is the second demand of the question. We have written some examples like Europe, Japan are prime examples. Fertility rate in these countries like Italy is 1.3. What is 1.3? Spain 1.3, Japan 1.3. What does this data signify? That it is below the replacement level. Okay, below the replacement level. That means the dependent population. That means the young population is going to decrease. That means the aged population is going to increase. That means the workforce is going to decrease. Okay, so this is how you substantiate declining work age population and increased aging. Another example of South Korea has the world's lowest fertility rate at 0.81. Even if you do not know 0.81, there is no need, but you should know it is less than 1. It is less than 1. You simply write it is less than 1. Fertility rate of South Korea is less than 1. There are multiple examples like in the Europe, you can go with the first world countries like the most developed economies like Germany, Italy, France, Switzerland, UK. US is also facing, is having its fertility rate below replacement level. Then the South Korea is less than 1. So we have multiple examples. China is witnessing the consequences of earlier one-child policy. It was smart enough. It was smart enough to scrap or abolish. उसने बंद कर दिया one-child policy and it's back with two-child policy because they were able to see the consequences of this on the demography, on the workforce, and the developing economy needs workforce to generate infrastructure capital for growth. Okay? ये आपने लिख दिया. Is the world moving towards demographic winter? आपने one side of the story सुना दी कि there are certain countries which are moving towards demographic winter. उसका validation आपने दे दिया substantiate करके, examples लिख दिए आपने. Okay. चलिए, फिर आप बोलते हो कि like we discussed that we have to give a balanced view. So what we did is that we showed that however countries of global south or developing countries, least developing countries or poor countries are following a different rate in terms of fertility rate. Example, countries of Africa हमने बोल दिया. So what we can do this basic understanding we should have that their fertility rate is above 4.5 normally. We have, this is ideal data. This is an ideal answer where each and every point is substantiated. Okay. So we discussed that there are certain countries like 6.9, which is above 4, above 5, which is quite a high fertility rate. Somalia is 6.1, Mali is more than 5. Then we discussed some of countries of South Asia, like Pakistan it's 3.5, Sri Lanka it's 2.4, which is above the replacement level of the fertility. So what does this signify? This shows that the entire world, the question was, is the world moving towards? So, is the world moving? No, there are certain countries which are not following this trend. Their fertility rate is increasing. So, हमने balanced view दे दिया है. Okay, we have given a balanced view. Okay, now economic and social implications. Labor shortage will be there, obviously. Increased dependency ratio. The people who are dependent on the government, like old age population who need pensions, who need care, who need health support, who need economic support, psychological support, they are going to increase. They are going to, so the capital generation, the capital development or generation is going to decrease, isn't it? The potential GDP of the country is going to reduce. Okay. Shrinking markets. Okay. Global disparities. While some regions face demographic winter, others, particularly in Africa and parts of Asia, continue to have high birth rates. This disparity could lead to geopolitical shifts in power and resources. International implication also. Let's move forward. Now the demographic winter is kind of a challenge. Okay. The old age population is increasing. It will be having economic implications, social implications. So kind of a issue. So we need to give some solutions which are taken, some global good practices or practices which are there to solve this problem. तो उनका भी हम एक दो example देख लेते हैं. For example, pro-natalist policies in countries like France and Germany. ये countries क्या कर रहे हैं? They are giving paid leave to the parents. Okay, because you know how demographic winter actually started. When the both parents started working, they had less time for newborn ones. So instead of giving birth to a new child, the adoption system or avoiding pregnancy was, became the options in the European countries and the Western countries. So what their government is doing, that they are going to provide paid leaves in case of pregnancy to both the parents, the mother also and the father also, so they can take good care of the child. Okay, this kind of policy is there to avoid this kind of demographic winter, isn't it? And then there is immigration as a solution. The countries who are experiencing demographic winter, obviously for example, those countries like Japan, South Korea, they need manpower. So immediately the problem cannot solve, right? Even if the birth rate is going to increase, the population, the young age population is going to take some time. तो तो उसके लिए what they can, the countries which are having high growth rate or young population like India, Bangladesh, other countries, they can allow immigrations, and the workforce or the labor force is can migrate to these countries. Okay. Then we are going to provide conclusion. The implications of our declining birth rate and an aging population are significant and necessitate proactive policies to address potential economic, social, and cultural impacts. It is a social solution-based conclusion. Okay, optimistic conclusion, as we suggested. Now the point. Now the main point. Now see friends, ये जो मैंने आपको आंसर दिखाया है, the model answer in starting from the introduction, going to the characteristics, then going to the demand, okay, and then suggesting some measures, okay, and then concluding. This entire structure of ideal answer or model answer has more than 600 words. And the question demands how many, the limit should be 150 words. Right. 150 words is what we need. We have 2 pages. But is it practical to answer this 150 words answer with the help of 600 words? What to filter out? What should be the structure? And what should be the flow of the answer? So now, this was an ideal life. Okay. This is an ideal life. अब चलते हैं realistic life की तरफ. Okay. Realistic life में देखते हैं कि if we have 2 pages and limited space, can we write this answer in the real life conditions? So let's look at this. This is how I have written. This is my handwriting. I have written this answer in the 2 pages. Okay. And I try to utilize these 2 pages in the best way possible. Let's look at it. I hope you can see. What is the concept of demographic winter? What is the concept of demographic winter? Is the world moving towards such a situation? Elaborate. This was our question. Okay. I started with the introduction. Demographic winter refers to a situation where a population experiences a significant decline in birth rate, leading to an aging population and potential long-term population decline. सिंपल वही बात लिखी है जो सिंपल सवाल में थी. साथ में मैंने डेमोग्राफिक ट्रांजिशन मॉडल बना दिया. Every person who is writing mains is aware of demographic transition model. That when the economy develops from the poor economy to a developed economy, what actually happens? Starting में birth rate and death rate दोनों high रहता है. I have mentioned stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, growing economy to developed economy. Okay. And this is how showed that this particular stage is called the stage of demographic winter. Okay. With the help of this diagram, I have shown that this is the concept of demographic winter. What actually happens in the initial stage, the birth rate and death rate both are high. When the economy develops, the literacy rate and the per capita income increases, better health facilities are there. So the death rate is going to decline and the birth rate is going to increase. And this stage is known as the stage of population boom, which we normally study. India experienced this kind of situation also. Okay, in the second half of the 20th century. Then there is a situation in the stage 4 when the economy becomes more and more developed, the literacy rate improves, okay, and the woman starts working. What actually happens is the death rate is going to, and the birth rate both are going to decline. In certain situations in the stage 4, what happens is that this is the death rate and this birth rate actually goes below the death rate, okay, significantly lower than the death rate. What actually happens is the population is going to decline, the fertility is going to decline, and this stage is known as stage of demographic winter. I used population transition, demographic transition model. Easy model, easily available, not a concept which I have designed by my own. Every student knows about it. The one who is writing mains. I always discuss with my students when we are discussing F to F also, I use the term, I always use a sentence, a definition without an example is not a good definition. A definition without an example is not a good definition. तो आप जब भी definition लिखोगे, for example, you have written the definition of demographic winter, you are going to give examples like Italy, Japan are experiencing demographic winter. अब fast लिखना है, हमको जल्दी लिखना है, तो we are going to use this DW as our short form. Okay, आपको अगर short form use करनी है, तो first use it in the introduction or initial stage of the answer so that you can use later in the question itself. Now let's see the lower half of this answer, first page. Now I have come to key characteristics of demographic winter. उसमें मैंने लिखा है, first is aging population. As the birth rate is going to decline and life expectancy increases, old age people comes in majority. Simple language, simple English, simple concept. उसके नीचे मैंने example लिख दिया. Average age जापान के अंदर 48 years है, फ्रांस के अंदर 43 years है. Okay? So the substantiation, I have substantiated this point. Now, economic implications. Rising dependent population needs pension and healthcare. Okay, let's move to second page. It also has less workers to generate wealth. The workforce and the labor force is going to decline. Okay, I have also tried to write this answer in the fastest way possible. I completely understand that I was pre-aware of the points, the structure, but I tried to make it as realistic as possible so that you people can also write this answer after watching this video. Okay. Because practically writing, like the model answer has 600 plus words. And then what to write in the 150, that too in 2 pages, is always a challenge for students. Okay? So by this you are going to get a better perspective. Okay? Then I have written shortage of workers in France and Germany, an example. Then I have written decline in potential GDP. Okay? Obviously the workforce is going to decrease, the labor force is not there, dependent population is going to increase, then the potential GDP of any country or a particular country is going to decline. फिर मैंने लिखा है, what I have written in the 4th point is change in family values. Now we are going to include the societal aspect also, demographic aspect, economic aspect, and then GDP, that is economic aspect, and social aspect also I have tried to inculcate in the characteristics. Okay, like individualism, nuclear family structure, this is the point. Okay, 5th point, psychological challenges like loneliness, anxiety, and physical problems like geriatric problems which are experienced by the old age people. So they are going to increase. So that is going to be a kind of challenge in the case of demographic winter. ये मैंने यहाँ तक खत्म कर दिया. 75% of my second page is still left. How to utilize it? Though in the best way possible, मैं ये जो मेरा heading है, is the world moving towards such a situation? ये थोड़ा सा ऊपर होना चाहिए था. Okay, but I told you I have written this answer in the real time conditions. So obviously we are not aiming for an ideal answer. We have to be realistic. And we have to utilize these 2 pages in the best way possible. Okay, but we started quite well with the demographic transition model, because if you draw that kind of structure in this question, it is relevant, it is meeting the demand of the question, and it will not be seen in other copies. So it will be an add-on to your answer. Now see, the second demand of the question. Is the world moving towards demographic winter? Another lesson which I want to share with you. Friends, if you have to make a heading in your mains answer, if you have to make a heading in the mains answer, listen to this very carefully, do not generate your own headings. Okay, that is going to confuse the examiner. Use the words which are already there in the question, pick it up and make it a heading. Okay. Some students, they think that I will try to be different and be more creative and generate my own heading. So when you make your own heading, sometimes the words which you use, the selection of the words is the words are there in such a way that it creates a different kind of stream. Okay, उस question, उस heading का demand शायद कुछ और हो जाएगा. Okay, and then the points which you are going to write will be satisfying this demand. अब वो क्या है कि मैच नहीं करेगा, it will not complement the demand of the answer. तो avoid this, अपनी खुद की heading नहीं बनाना है, जो question में language दे रखी है उसी को heading बनाना है. Okay, if you want to be creative with your points and examples and value addition. Don't be creative with your heading. The point is, आपको examiner को show करना है, this is my heading. You have to always put your heading in a box. This is something for the presentation. First point, is the world moving towards demographic winter? देखते हैं. First world countries I have written, like Japan, example, Spain, France, Germany, okay, are experiencing demographic winter. DW I have used because I already used a short form. फिर मैंने लिखा fertility even below 1.5, that is replacement level. मैंने validate भी कर दिया. I have not written particular like 1.6, 1.3 नहीं. This is really in real life में ये possible नहीं है. Real life में ये सब possible नहीं है. Okay. South Korea is facing severe demographic winter, fertility less than 1. Now I have to give a balanced view. तो मैं क्या लिखूंगा? However, developing economies of Africa like Niger 6.9, you can write it more than 5. More than 5. Like it is, I have written in Mali, you can just write more than 5 fertility rate. You can simply write, जैसे ऊपर वाला point लिखा है, इसको भी लिख सकते हैं. African economies like Niger, Somalia, Mali are experiencing fertility rate more than 4-5. Okay. Also, South Asian countries like Pakistan and Sri Lanka and are experiencing fertility rate more than 2.5 or 3. That kind of data you can put to substantiate your point. So, I have addressed are not following the trend of demographic winter. So, I have addressed the first demand of the question, what is the concept of demographic winter with demographic transition model. Okay, then I explain the characteristics of demographic winter. उसमें क्या क्या होगा? Social aspects, the economic aspect, and the societal aspect, the values of the family system, health problems. Then we came to second demand of the question, is the world moving towards? We have given points and validated that, substantiated that with some kind of data and example of the countries. Then we came to we balanced the approach by giving other view also that no, the entire world is not following this trend, because the question was asking a question कि क्या जो पूरी दुनिया है वो डेमोग्राफिक विंटर की तरफ जा रही है? Is the world following the trend of demographic winter? तो वी हैव टू गिव अ बैलेंस्ड अप्रोच. हमने यहाँ पे बैलेंस्ड अप्रोच दिया है कि कुछ कंट्रीज ऐसा कर रही हैं, कुछ ऐसी इस ट्रेंड को फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं. ओके, नाउ अब वो इतना बड़े सजेशंस थे और कंक्लूजन था, तो नाउ उसको इतनी सी जगह, नाउ आई एम लेफ्ट विद ओनली दिस मच स्पेस. आई एम लेफ्ट विद ओनली दिस मच स्पेस. हाउ टू कंक्लूड नाउ? Efforts like pro-natalist policy of France and Germany and support to care economy and immigration from developing economies can balance the social and economic impact of demographic winter. So again, futuristic, solution-based and balanced conclusion that the demographic, the young population from developing economies can go to these countries to solve the immediate problem. Okay, and long-term problem can be solved by pro-natalist policy and then providing care economy or addressing the challenges of care economy. Then we can address this problem. So this is how we can address. Obviously, this is not an ideal answer. Many people can write better answer than this. But this is, I think, this is what I have written. Okay, in the real life conditions, this can be your answer for this question. Okay. Let's move forward. Another question, important one. The groundwater or water theme is the most favorite theme of UPSC nowadays. You can see this theme of water in GS3 also, then GS1 also. If you know 2023 mains, there was a question that why is the world confronted with the challenge of accessibility and availability of fresh water. So water is there, groundwater, fresh water, surface runoff, wetlands. This is water overall is a very important theme for UPSC mains, which you have. The question, let's read the question now. The groundwater potential. तो अब हम क्या करेंगे? Majority of the questions which are going to see today, हम उनके real life model answers देखेंगे. That means something which I have written. Okay. What I have written, let me tell you, this is my handwriting. I appeared in mains and I scored 412 marks in GS. Okay. So I followed this approach very strictly. Okay. So you can trust this process that you can make these headings. You can write this kind of introduction, body and conclusion. This has resulted in actually the result was favorable. और आप ये वाला trend, ये वाले जो the structure है, इसको आप follow कर सकते हैं. You can trust this structure, and obviously this is not the limit. People actually score 470, 475, 480 also. So this is the upper limit. Is obviously there is no such upper limit. But if you are scoring above 404 GS, that is quite an acceptable score. Above 400 in GS. So let's start. The groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. ये स्टेटमेंट खत्म हो गया. क्या इसमें सवाल है? क्या इससे कोई डिमांड निकल रही है? नहीं निकल रही है. Okay, but this statement, these kind of statements, mostly you are going to find in the 15 markers, जिसमें 250 words में हमको address करना है वो. We will have 3 pages and 50 marker question. This is called introductory statement. The point is, do we have to address it? Yes, we have to address each and every word which is given in the UPSC mains because they have made efforts to frame these questions. हमको हर एक लाइन को, हर एक शब्द को address करके आना है. We have to address each and every demand and part of the question. So the groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. The statement is given by UPSC. That means we have to prove this statement that yes, the groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. We have to substantiate. इस point को validate, इस line को validate करना है through giving some reasons that why the groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on serious decline. Now let's see. This is the first demand of the question. Now, how may it affect the food security of India? This is the second demand of the question. We have to address this, the introductory statement, and then how may it affect the food security of India. Now understand, students. It is a 15 marker question. It is a problem based question. it is a 15 marker question, it is a problem based question, then we have to give way forward. We have to give way forward. It is mandatory, आपको देना ही है way forward और solutions. Okay, way forward आपको provide करना है. Okay, if you won't provide, someone else is going to provide. If you won't provide, someone else is going to provide, and that person is going to get better marks because this is the area, way forward is the area where you can show your own creativity and you can present your own points like case studies, your own examples, global best practices, some reports by Indian government, foreign international agencies. So way forward is that scope where you can show the examiner that I personally know some solutions which can, if we can apply them, this problem can be solved. Can be solved. Not will be solved, but can be solved. So let's see how to structure this answer. Introduction में हम क्या लिखेंगे? Write about geographical extent of Gangetic Valley along with agricultural importance of Ganga Valley, और उसके साथ draw a small map of Gangetic Plains also. Now, what should be a good introduction? What should be a good introduction? I'm using the word good, not ideal introduction. A good introduction, if you, अगर आप इस future में इसके बाद कभी भी answer लिखते हैं and you want to judge whether your introduction is good or bad or it is okay, this is the trick or this is the method you are going to use. See, intro. After writing your answer, hide your question with paper or hand, read your introduction, okay? Or ask your friend or any family member to just simply read the introduction, और वो introduction पढ़ के ये बताए कि इस question की core demand क्या है, okay? This is called reverse engineering. अगर आप introduction पढ़ के, मतलब मैं जवाब सुन के सवाल जान जूं, अगर सवाल का मुझे पता लग जाए, that means the introduction is relevant and complementing the demand of the question. For example, मैंने introduction पढ़ा. After reading the introduction, I can check that these are the 1, 2 or demand of the question, and these are the demands, and it is relevant. That means the introduction is relevant also. And complement sometimes what actually happens is we simply start with some report or some data that is acceptable. That is not an incorrect introduction. What you can do is sometimes what we actually do is we simply define and do not give examples. So these are some minute mistakes which can be corrected. और जो data और fact और information जो knowledge है वो already आपके पास है. You just have to apply it. Okay. So how can we write introduction? Is by definition plus example. Reports of Indian institutions or UN or international. UNFCCC, okay, all these reports are acceptable. Okay. Then recent event or data. So if it is a phenomena-based question, it is, for example, the monsoon phenomena, or the phenomena of cloud burst, volcanism, earthquake, and then jet streams, the phenomena-based question, then the best way is definition plus the example. For example, there is a cyclone. Then you can write define cyclone. That is a low pressure region surrounded by high pressure region. It is formed in this and this. And then example of, for example, the recent cyclone of the cyclone Dana in West Bengal. Or a report of Indian institution. For example, if there is a question, the question which we are going to see now, the groundwater potential, then the report of Niti Aayog, Central Groundwater Authority, or we can see the report of the Niti Aayog's Composite Water Management Index and other reports. Okay, the World Bank report on water availability. So we can see then recent event. Okay, if there is a drought, flood, if there is something, then we can address that. What I will suggest is that first address the demand, and then address the demand in the introduction by defining it, or if the report or data or the example is directly connecting with the core demand of the question, then it is a good introduction. You can go with that. Data, how to use data. Okay, like in the inequality social justice question, simply people write the Oxfam report. That is not the right way. What you can do is you can first define social justice or economic inequality. What is economic inequality? And then you can put this data. So it is going to become a wholesome introduction. अगर geography का question है, and there is a scope of drawing a map or a diagram, then you can draw a map or a diagram along with introduction also. You can draw the map of India. You can draw the map of India. Okay, you can draw the map of India. Along with that, and you can show that what our things are, or things we can mention through this. It is going to give a good presentation. It is going to give a very good presentation. If you look at this page, अगर आप इस page की तरफ देखते हैं as an examiner, and then the question is starting, and then you are writing answer, and you have written the definition. There is a small map or a figure or a diagram over here, and you start writing. Okay, and then you are addressing the demand. You are putting a heading. It is giving a good presentation to your answer. Okay. So it gives a good presentation, informative. You have given the map also, labeled the map. Simply drawing the map is not going to help. You have to locate 2 or 3 locations into that. Then introduction, if it is data, so that means your introduction is informative, subject related. It has data also and information also, and then you included map also. It became a wholesome introduction. Now let's look at this. The question on the groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley. Look at this. What I have done over here is, see, let me see. The question is simple. The groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. We have seen this is introductory statement. Do we have to address it? Yes, we have to address it. Then how may it affect the food security of India? This is the second demand. So I have introduced the Gangetic Valley, which is one of the most fertile regions of the world, spreaded over Punjab, West Bengal, Bihar, UP and Haryana. Okay. Then I have given the geographical location of Gangetic Valley, geographical information. Okay. Through this, I am showing the examiner that yes, I am aware of the geographical location of Gangetic Valley. It accounts for India's 30% agricultural output, okay, including rice, wheat, sugarcane, jute, and millets. This is how I've given the example of some crops also, because the question is talking about the food security. So I have shown the significance of Gangetic Valley, given the geographical angle. I've given the geographical angle, plus about food security also I've written. Now, I have drawn a map showing Gangetic Valley, and I have located certain locations like Kanpur, Patna, and Varanasi, because I am going to use them in my main body. Okay. Now I have written, the introduction part is not completely over. Okay, I am addressing the introductory statement now. Due to various natural and anthropogenic reasons, the groundwater potential is at risk, which will also impact food security. अब ये जो मेरा पार्ट है, इसमें मैंने क्या किया है? I have introduced the answer completely along with a map, and I have taken 10 to 11 minutes only to draw this. you should be able to draw the map of India, any area, like the northeast map, the map of northeast. For example, there is a question on northeast India, so you should be able to draw the map of northeast. You should be able to draw the map of northeast as quickly as possible, and you should be handy enough to draw the states also, so that you can locate. For example, there is a question on Gangetic Valley. You should practice the map of India in such a way that आपको Gangetic Valley का डायग्राम बनाना है. आप सिंपली पूरे इंडिया का मैप मत बनाइए, सिर्फ Gangetic Valley का मैप आप बनाइए. Okay, you can show the Ganga flowing, and you can show the Gangetic Valley with the help of this diagram, and you can locate some locations also in this. Okay, there is a question on peninsular India. Simply from Gujarat, आप यहाँ से आइए, and then you locate, and you can use this map for any kind of peninsular part. For example, there is a question on the western part that you don't have to draw the entire map. Okay, we have limited space, we have to utilize it. So you draw the map of India, and only the western part, that is the Rajasthan, Gujarat part, and this part, the Maharashtra region. So आप यहाँ पे भी कुछ भी locate कर सकते हो. Then you put this thing in the box, and then you address or simply mark the answers. With it should be the Indian map should be so handy for you that you should be able to draw the entire Indian map in around 10 to 11 seconds. 10 से 11 सेकंड में आपको draw कर देना है. Okay. Now let's talk about this. ये मैंने introduce कर दिया. I have given that I have shown, because मुझे वो करना है ना, मुझे introductory statement that groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on serious decline. इसको मुझे address करना है, तो मुझे उसके लिए कुछ लिखना पड़ेगा. First I have to write, because the flow has to be, there has to be connection between the introduction and body and conclusion. Okay, it should be connected. Flow maintain रहना चाहिए. So I have written, due to various natural also and anthropogenic reasons, the groundwater potential is at serious risk, which will impact the food security. अब मैं क्वेश्चन को हाइड करके ये वाला पार्ट पढ़ता हूँ, तो मेरे को पता लग जाएगा. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट Gangetic Valley. दूसरा, द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट declining groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley and how it is impacting the food security with a map. So now this introduction is complementing the demand of the question, is relevant, has geographical touch, that is subject specific touch, and has a map also. So wholesome introduction. Now let's jump on to the body of the answer. See this part. Now I have given the heading. Reasons for declining groundwater. Okay. Always pick the heading directly from the question. So that examiner को ज़्यादा मेहनत ना करनी पड़े, उसको पता लग जाए कि this is where the demand is there and this student has addressed the demand. Okay. First, obviously the topmost reason for declining groundwater potential in India and across the world also is agriculture, because maximum amount of fresh water. Okay, it is in India it is more than 85%. In world it is around 70%. The irrigation is done through groundwater. Okay. The fresh water is being utilized for by agriculture. So first reason I have written, production of water intensive crops in the Gangetic Valley like rice and sugarcane. Then I have substantiated with this with the help of a data. According to Central Groundwater Authority, 60% of irrigation is done by groundwater. Okay, the tube wells and all these. So I have validated. I have written the name of institution also. Simply writing that 60%, 70%, 80% is being utilized by groundwater is not going to help you. You have to refer to the institution also which is giving this data, like Niti Aayog, the World Bank or Central Groundwater Authority, that kind of. Okay. Now let's rub this and jump on to the second page. ये देखते हैं. Okay. First was agriculture, water intensive crops. Second is urbanization. Obviously, urbanization is a challenge. I have simply written. Point number 2, always number your points. Never write them as dots, arrows, always number your points. Okay. I have written urbanization, I have written concretization of land reduces groundwater recharge capacity. Obviously, that is one of the reasons for groundwater potential declining. Then I have written the Bans Ghat and Buddha Ghat area near Patna, that is on the Gangetic Plains, in Bihar, is experiencing concretization due to intense urbanization, which is reducing the groundwater recharge potential of the land in the Gangetic Valley. So that is the reason. So I have written the point and then substantiated. Point number 3, industrial discharge and usage. Okay, then I have written this point and I am validating it. The textile industry uses around 1.6 million liters of water per day. And now you people must be thinking, sir, how to remember all this data? Students, understand. When we do previous year question analysis, अच्छा एक बात बताओ, ये आपको Oxfam का डेटा क्यों याद है? That 1% of the population is so and so is having this much of wealth. And how do you know that 85% of the farmers in India are small and marginal? How do you know that it is 18% of the global population and 2.4% of the global land area and 4.4% of the global fresh water? Because you are regularly using it. Because these are important data which you can use at multiple places. Similarly, if you analyze previous year questions, then water, women, inclusive growth, just examples, I can make a list with 50 topics. These kind of themes are very important. So you have to do some extra research into these kind of topics because they are the favorite themes of UPSC. So ये जो minute data है ना, for example, the Gangetic Valley, for example, for the wetlands, reclamation of wetlands, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए that in Bangalore there were more than 120 or 130 lakes in around 2001 when this century actually started. And in 2021, 70 to 80% of those lakes are now gone because they are now concretized and urbanization has spreaded. to these wetlands. तो ये आपको पता होना चाहिए, because this question can be asked, isn't it? This is one of the previous year question. So हमको hint previous year question से ही मिलती है और वहीं से ही लेनी है हमको hint. Okay. So we introduced the question. We jumped on to the demand. First point was intensive crops. Second is urbanization. Third is industrial discharge. I mentioned Kanpur and Varanasi. Look, मैंने यहाँ पे कानपुर और वाराणसी लिखा है. मैंने मैप के अंदर शो भी किया है कानपुर and Varanasi. I have mentioned Patna also. This is now a labeled map. Okay, this is not simply drawing a map. You have located 2 to 3 places. इसका मतलब you have some more understanding about the geographical area also. Then I have written over extraction in urban areas. Okay, so I have written according to the World Bank, India is the largest extractor or consumer of groundwater. You can go to UPSC Prelims 2023, and there was a question that India has largest land area under agriculture crop production. Then the statement was, second statement, एक और statement था, which was reading that India is the largest extractor of groundwater. So that statement was actually correct. So simply I have used the World Bank data. Four reasons. Fifth is climate change also. El Nino and negative Indian Ocean dipole. Relevant? Relevant because El Nino की वजह से हमारे यहाँ बारिश नहीं होती. नेगेटिव इंडियन ओशन डाइपोल की वजह से हमारे यहाँ बारिश नहीं होती. कम बारिश होती, बारिश नहीं होती नहीं, कम बारिश होती, कंपैरेटिवली लेस रेनफॉल. तो ड्रॉट सीजन्स आते हैं, ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्ज कम हो पाता है. वाई एल नीनो एंड एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग? बिकॉज ऑफ वार्मिंग ऑफ ईस्टर्न पैसिफिक ओशन, द पेरू एंड द चिली कोस्ट. और वो क्यों हो रहा है? ड्यू टू क्लाइमेट चेंज. देन इट इज बिकमिंग मोर एंड मोर इंटेंसिव. तो उसकी वजह से भी ग्राउंड वाटर पोटेंशियल इज डिक्लाइनिंग. रेलेवेंट पॉइंट. Now see the other dimensions. Let's rub this first. Now the second demand, impact on the food security. Isn't it? The impact on food security. First point I have written, it is going to reduce the crop yield, definitely. As per Central Groundwater Authority, decline in groundwater by 2 meters will severely impact paddy production, that is rice production. Okay, and you can also search the reports of ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, which is also connected with the decline in groundwater with the yield of the crops, not just in the Gangetic Valley, but also in the other parts of India. Inflation on food crops, obviously. Now I have given the economic aspect also to this impact on food security. Inflation बढ़ जाएगा as the input cost will increase. Groundwater potential is going to decline. जो tube wells हैं, which are there in, for example, in there is a village, जिसका नाम है A, उस village के अंदर 10 tube wells थी. 10 tube wells थी जिनमें से around 5 or 6 का जो ground water level है वो decline हो गया. Now they are of no use. उनको और depth में जाना पड़ेगा. The farmers do not have that much money. So what they are going to do? They are going to buy the water for irrigation purpose. उसके लिए क्या होगा? The more money they will give, the two things are going to happen. One is the impact on the farmer. उसके पास उसका personal disposable income reduce होगा. That is also going to increase the impact the economy and food security, malnutrition and all. Secondly, the inflation in the food crops. So it is going to impact the consumers also. हम पे भी consumers पे भी impact पड़ेगा. The poor people will not be able to afford the vegetables and the food crops, and it will impact the food security of India. Now see the next page. Let's look at the next page, the third page. Third point, directly impacting the multi-cropping and reduce domestic production. Obviously, less amount of water will be there, the groundwater potential is going to decline. पानी ही कम रहेगा, irrigation कम रहेगा, तो multi cropping in multiple seasons is going to decline. It will decline, decrease our domestic production also, export also, and might also impact domestic consumption, which will impact the food security. Multi cropping ही नहीं हो पाएगी, crops ही नहीं है, some crops are going to decline. Okay. Reduce the fertility of the soil. Obviously, less amount of water is going to impact the fertility of the soil. Okay. Reduce the disposable income of farmers. We discussed in the point number 1. The inflation point I have explained you. Will impact the dairy because fodder won't be available. And fisheries also due to depletion of lakes. Groundwater is going to decline. There is no the recharging facility is not available due to urbanization. वो जो lakes हैं वहाँ पे जो wetlands है वो भी decline हो रहे हैं. तो the fisheries which is a major source of protein for a lot of families in West Bengal and Bihar is going to impact. So we have included this dimension also. It will also impact the food security of the country. So now I have addressed the introductory statement. I have addressed the second demand. Now way forward. What should be the solution? Smart irrigation I have written. I have written smart irrigation. But along with that, I have substantiated with the data, substantiated with the report. A report of Ashok Dalwai panel, which was formed for the doubling of farmers' income. It advocated for micro irrigation and used in this report, it was highlighted that if we practice micro irrigation, that it is going to reduce the water use by 50%. So obviously this will be a solution. Way forward is like solution to the problem. तो अगर मैं माइक्रो इरिगेशन करता हूँ, प्रैक्टिस करता हूँ, तो 50% पानी का इस्तेमाल कम हो जाएगा. अगर 50% पानी का इस्तेमाल कम हो जाएगा, तो जो डिक्लाइनिंग है, जो प्रॉब्लम है, उसका सॉल्यूशन हो गया. Along with that, the Ashok Dalwai panel also highlighted that micro irrigation is going to increase the yield by 45%. Approximately 45%, 40 to 45%. So, the two problems in the question, declining groundwater potential and second, food security. अब अगर yield बढ़ जाएगी, तो food security वाली problem भी address हो जाएगी. और अगर पानी का demand कम हो जाएगा 50% तक, तो groundwater potential जो decline हो रहा है, वो slowly recharge भी तो होगा. And the problem will be addressed because agriculture, first point, agriculture is the largest extractor of groundwater in our country. Second, afforestation to increase the water recharge capacity. हमारा जो second problem हमने address किया था आंसर में, first was intensive crops, second was urbanization. उसकी वजह से concretization हो रहा था, which was actually reducing the groundwater recharge capacity. अगर हम afforestation कर देंगे, that is the best way. Afforestation कहाँ होगा? Where there is no concretized land area, and this is going to, when rainfall will be there, or it is nearby the rivers, if there is any wetland, so automatically the groundwater will be recharged. And I have substantiated with Nagar Van Yojana of the government and Miyawaki method, so that immediate solution to this problem we can have. Third is community participation. Community participation is also one of the important reasons. Then I have substantiated the Pani Panchayat of Odisha, which is practicing rainwater harvesting, which is also practicing the groundwater recharge. Okay, so Pani Panchayat of Odisha, you can. So this is a real life example. Okay. Then I have best practices, Israel's hydroponics and aeroponics. So for agriculture, so you can provide best practices of the global best practices also. So what happened in this solution is that अगर हम इन practices को वाकई में implement करें, which are being implemented in our country, which are suggested by the institutions of our government set it up a committee which actually gave a report. अगर हम उस report को implement करें, तो we will be able to solve this problem. So the solutions, instead of writing, a lot of students we came across in the replay also, A lot of students, what mistake they are doing is they are ignoring way forward or simply writing water harvesting, reducing the water consumption. Okay, so don't you think, I'm just simply talking, simply just in the simplest word possible, don't you think the 14,000 or 13,000 to 14,000 people who are writing mains will be able to write these points? Rainwater harvesting, declining, or simply just micro irrigation, all these things, they will be able to write it. But substantiating them and giving real life case studies will make your answer a little bit different. Automatically, you are going to get better marks. Okay, you should be handy and should be ready with these kind of solutions. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. Look at the another question. This was another tricky question. What are aurora australis and aurora borealis? How are these triggered? If you are going through social media also, if you have basic understanding of Earth's magnetism, आपने कहीं ना कहीं तो ये शब्द सुने ही होंगे. The challenge in this answer was to write this answer in 250 words. We had 3 pages और concept जहाँ खत्म हो जा रहा था, वो एक line जो थी that it happens due to the interaction of solar winds or solar particles with Earth's magnetic field. हमें यही बात पता थी. Okay. Now इस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस को किस तरह से एड्रेस करना है रियल एग्जाम कंडीशंस में, लेट्स नाउ लुक एट द आंसर. ओके, दिस काइंड ऑफ लाइक फिनोमिना बेस्ड क्वेश्चन, इनको किस तरह से एड्रेस करना है, दैट वी आर गोइंग टू सी नाउ. लेट्स लुक एट दिस नाउ. इंट्रोड्यूस कैसे करेंगे, आप डिफाइन करिए क्या होते हैं, सिंपली डिफाइन इट. बॉडी में आप क्या लिखोगे, एलेबोरेट अरोरा बोरियलिस के बारे में लिखिए, नॉर्दर्न लाइट्स, देन सदर्न लाइट्स के बारे में लिखिए, इलस्ट्रेट करिए कि वो कैसे ट्रिगर होते हैं, एंड देन सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ दीज लाइट्स, एंड देन कंक्लूजन शुड बी इंपॉर्टेंस बेस्ड. ज्योग्राफी में नाउ लेट्स डिस्कस द कंक्लूजन ऑल्सो. व्हाट इज अ गुड कंक्लूजन? इन ज्योग्राफी पीपल फेस अ लॉट ऑफ चैलेंज इन राइटिंग कंक्लूजन कि यार कंक्लूजन क्या कर लिखें इसके अंदर. सो इफ it is a concept or phenomena based question. It is a concept or phenomena based question like Indian monsoon, volcanism, earthquake, seismic waves, ocean currents and all these. Then you will write significance based conclusion. What do you mean by significance-based conclusion? That's our point. Significance-based conclusion means इनका क्या significance है in helping other phenomena. For example, earthquakes and volcanoes helps in understanding the plate tectonics, internal structure of the earth, and helps in bringing the minerals like diamonds and all these to the surface, supports the economy also, and helps in regulating the atmosphere, the volcanism. Okay. If it is monsoon, then, for example, it is El Nino and La Nina and all these, the phenomena-based question, they will write, it is helping in understanding the influence of climate change and global warming on the geophysical phenomena, or like the important monsoon and economy and society. So that how you can put significance-based conclusion, how it helps in studying the other concepts which are associated with them. For for ocean currents, how it helps in the formation of deserts, supports the economy like the North Atlantic drift. So that is very important. Okay, how we can plan the industry, or how we can plan the economy. So significance-based conclusion. If it is a problem-based question, for example, if it is a problem-based question, or a challenge, for example, the groundwater potential, then the conclusion has to be solution based. And I am very sorry, I have not shown you the conclusion of the this answer. I forgot. Let's see, check this again. We have written the way forward. Now the solution is sustainable development, the SDGs, need sustainable water availability, which can be achieved by smart agricultural practices and smart city projects. Okay, so it is a solution based, it is a futuristic and optimistic conclusion. Okay, you have to come with this kind of thing. So if it is a problem based, then it has to be solution based conclusion. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. Importance based or significance based conclusion with futuristic approach. Now let's look at the real exam type conditions and how we can write the best answer possible with real exam conditions. What are aurora australis and aurora borealis? How are they triggered? These are the two demands. हमारे पास 3 pages है. जब भी आपके पास phenomena based question आएगा, concept based question is going to come to you, phenomena based question is going to come to you. What you will follow? The flow chart method you are going to follow. Point, then flow chart, then point, then flow chart, because you have to explain the phenomena and how phenomena actually works step by step. पहले कुछ होता है, उसके बाद कुछ होता है, उसके बाद something else happens. So there is a connecting. For example, this point is connected to this. पहले solar. For example, in this case, or let's forget this. Let's talk about the Indian monsoon. If Indian monsoon is going to come, if Indian monsoon is going to come, first what we are going to write? First, हम पहले क्या लिखेंगे? That the shifting of IIT-CZ to near the Gangetic Valley, तो वहाँ पे low pressure zone create हो जाएगा. उसके बाद जो winds आ रही हैं, they are going to cross the equator. Point number 1, they are going to cross the equator. And they are going to become southwest monsoon winds. Going to take a right turn due to the Coriolis force. Okay. And are approaching the low pressure of over Indian subcontinent. The third point which you are going to write is that they are going to break into the Bay of Bengal branch and Arabian Sea branch. And then you are going to explain the orographic and all the monsoon, the geographical distribution of monsoon. So everything in the phenomena and the mechanism is connected. So the best way to write answer in this kind of questions is flowchart based. आप पहले flowchart समझाइए कि first this happens, then this happens. What are the advantages of this? You will get multiple points. Point number 1. Second, your pages, you will be able to utilize the space properly. You can draw multiple diagrams in the maps. Okay. For every point, every mechanism, you can draw a very small diagram. Now let's look at the real exam condition type situation, जिसमें आपके पास 3 pages हैं and you have to write this answer. Aurora australis and borealis are natural lights which occur in polar regions due to interaction of solar winds with Earth's magnetic field. This I introduced. फिर मैंने एक डायग्राम बता दिया जिसमें मैंने सोलर विंड्स दिखा दी है. I have shown the Earth, North Pole and South Pole, and the magnetic field, the geo tail, and I have shown कि Southern Pole पे, South Pole पे तो Australis बनेंगे and North Pole पे Borealis बनेंगे. उसके बाद I have shown that the Earth's magnetic field is actually diverting these solar particles to North Pole and south pole. And that is why it is not forming on equator. And I've shown, dekho, I've also shown the thickness of Earth's magnetic field is less over the poles and it is more near the equator. So the examiner got to know that this bachche ko, the student, the particular student knows the concept. Okay, the points which I am going to discuss now. Now, the second, just the demand of the question, that how are they triggered? How are these triggered? Now let's look at them. First, I will write solar winds. पहला क्या होता है? Solar winds आते हैं. These are charged particles emitted by the sun. The intensity of solar flares, that is solar winds, and coronal mass ejection, which we know, the corona layer of the sun, which is a very hot layer, the emitted by the sun, full stop. The intensity of solar flares and coronal mass ejection increases during solar maxima. I have used this term of solar maxima. This means giving subject specific touch to the answer. This means giving subject specific touch to the answer. In bracket I have written that what is solar maxima? In bracket I have written peak time of solar cycle of 11 years. So I have shown the examiner also ki I am using the word solar maxima, and I know the meaning of solar maxima because the sun has a solar cycle of 11 years, which has solar minima and solar maxima. And during solar maxima, uski intensity of solar flares, the solar winds, is maximum. Look at the other points. Point number 2, solar winds वहां से आ गए. आई एम जस्ट फॉलोइंग दिस डायग्राम. मैंने जो डायग्राम बनाया है, मैंने सन से पहले सोलर फ्लेयर्स को इजेक्ट करवाया, दे आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स अर्थ. वहां पे वो निकले, फिर मैंने उसको एक्सप्लेन भी कर दिया कि दीज पार्टिकल्स आर मोर इंटेंस ड्यूरिंग सोलर मैक्सिमम. चलिए ठीक है, अगले पॉइंट पे चलते हैं. नाउ दीज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? कनेक्टिंग डॉट्स. फिनोमिना इज कनेक्टेड. नो. सो पहले वहां सोलर फ्लेयर्स आए, उसके बाद ही तो वो अर्थ के पास आएंगे. दे आर गोइंग टू कम, एंड व्हेन दे आर गोइंग टू कम नियर द अर्थ, दे आर गोइंग टू इंटरेक्ट विद अर्थ्स मैग्नेटिक फील्ड. Interaction with Earth's magnetic field. The charged ions, electrons and protons, when encounter with Earth's magnetic field, they are diverted to polar areas. मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ. What I am doing is that every point I am writing is valid point. It is a phenomena. I am explaining the phenomena. How are they triggered? तो एक process होगा. They आए, they came, they आए. This is actually proper English. This is proper English. They came. The solar winds actually are approaching the Earth, and when they are going to encounter with the Earth's magnetic field, so it is quite thick near the equator. So it is going to divert these solar winds to North Pole and the South Pole. And I am showing this, and I am writing this. Nothing else. Okay. These charged ions, when encounter with Earth's magnetic field, they are diverted to polar areas. This arrow showing इसके बाद क्या हुआ. As magnetic field is thin and weak near the poles, these solar particles enter Earth's atmosphere. We are aware of the Earth's atmosphere. It is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, then thermosphere, which is also known as ionosphere, and then exosphere. Is going to enter Earth's atmospheric layer of ionosphere, from where the radio waves are getting reflected, and we know that ionosphere has ions, and because of that, the temperature also increases, and they are reflected back. So ions are there. So these particles are also charged particles which are coming from the sun. They interact with these ions, and when they interact with these ions, okay, they are going to release energy, and when they release energy, it is released in the form of light, and इसीलिए हमको auroras दिखते हैं नॉर्थ पोल एंड साउथ पोल में. Now what is going to happen? See. Now I have written point number 4. Point number 3 is clear. I have written point number 4. Excitation of atmospheric particles like oxygen and nitrogen. We have particles like we have elements like oxygen and nitrogen, and in the atmosphere they interact with solar particles and they get excited. वो excitation हो जाता है उनका. उसके बाद क्या होता है process? Emission of light. Excited particles actually come back to their rest state. When they come back to their rest state, they emit energy, and they emit energy in the form of light. In the form of light. Green by oxygen and blue by nitrogen. Substantiated. Now let's look at the next page. Continuing with the 7th point. This is the 3rd page, last page. Till now what we have done, solar winds are coming. I'll explain point number 1. They came to Earth's magnetic field, diverted to the poles. 2nd point. 3rd point, it is thin, near the poles, entered in the Earth's atmosphere. 4th point, the points, the charge particles are interacting with the ionosphere, ions like oxygen and elements like oxygen and nitrogen. 5th point, excitation of these. 6th point, when they come to the rest state, they emit energy, green by oxygen and blue by nitrogen. 7th point, intensity is influenced by ephelion and perihelion. Obviously, जब ephelion होता है, that means the maximum distance between the Earth and the Sun, the maximum distance between the Earth and the Sun, the distance is around 152 million kilometers, and when it is perihelion, it is 147 million kilometers. So obviously the intensity of solar flares, and how close is the Earth to these magnetic, solar winds, is also going to be is going to impact. Another, the solar cycle, which we already mentioned. जितने ज़्यादा intense solar winds होंगे, उतने ही ज़्यादा intense auroras भी होंगे. These lights are going to happen. This I have written. The 3rd thing which I wrote, we had to discuss in the body. This is my 3rd page. 75% of my page, the space is left. I have written significance. First, it helps in understanding the geomagnetism and its role in protecting Earth and satellite system. Relevant? Significance is to study the life cycle of Sun and its activities and its, you can also write, its impact on Earth's magnetic field. 3rd, tourism significance. It promotes economy in the polar areas. Definitely economic significance also. 4th, help in studying composition and structure of Earth's atmosphere. Ionosphere, it is interacting. So we will get to know that what all ions are there, how are they interacting, why only these elements are interacting, and what is the outcome of this. Okay, other than this. So these are the significances. Now let's see the conclusion. Hence, it is important to study the phenomena, to plan the space missions, and for studying the geomagnetism, and also we can also write it also important to helps in studying the solar cycle, corona, the coronal mass injections, and the solar winds and its impact on Earth and other planets and the bodies in the space. Another important question. What is the phenomena of cloudburst? Explain. Simple. This much only. The cloudburst is a disaster kind of question which was asked in, I don't know, 2019 maybe. And it was asked in GS paper 3. Disaster management. So now they asked in GS 1. That's why that shows the importance of PYQs and its analysis. What is the phenomena? So I am using this word right now, and I have placed these questions one after the other to explain you that uska answer bhi humne phenomena based likha tha. It was a concept. Okay, it was something which was happening step by step. So cloudburst is also going to happen step by step. It is a phenomena, it is a mechanism, it is a concept. So we are going to step by step going to address this question also. Okay. Introduction में क्या चाहिए? Briefly define the concept of cloudburst along with the conditions of rain measurement. कितनी बारिश होगी? Time कितने time में होगी? And geographical area, how much geographical area it will be restricted to. That is a meteorological definition of cloudburst, which is mandatory for this answer. You should know. Okay. Explain the phenomena body में. उसके बाद लिखिए mention causes लिखिए and its consequences you write, and then you address the, because it is a problem based question. There is a challenge in this problem. For example, it is a disaster. So you will write a solution based. Conclusion. Okay. Along with including disaster preparedness, adaptation and mitigation, or basically more widely adaptation is something which we are going to write. Now this is the answer which I have written for this particular question. What is the phenomena of cloudburst? Explain. So let's define. A cloudburst is an intense and sudden event of rainfall over a small geographical area. Simple. अभी आप यहाँ पे कुछ भी details मत दीजिए. You can simply show the examiner that the characteristics of defining a cloudburst, that is the rainfall measurement, the time and the geographical area, उनको आप separately लिख सकते हैं. You can write A, B and C. Intense rainfall, that is precipitation of more than 10 centimeter or 4 inches. Second condition, time span, 10 centimeter rain in less than 1 hour or 5 centimeter rain in 30 minutes. Third condition, geographical area, generally 10 square kilometer or 10 to 20 square kilometer, you can write this. So you have satisfied 3 conditions. What is? One is 10 centimeter rainfall or more than that in the time period of 1 hour or less than that in geographical area of 10 to 20 square kilometer. If this kind of thing happens, then it will be categorized as cloudburst. Simply pick the words from the question itself. Phenomena of cloudburst. We have to explain. When this kind of question come, you have to follow the flow chart and also write the number of points. Okay. So it is like both of these things are happening. You are writing points also, and you are explaining the mechanism also. Warm and moist. I have drawn this diagram. Okay. And always try, if you have time, to label the diagram, like the entire diagram. You should write figure FIG or something, or simply you can simply write phenomena of cloudburst. You can avoid FIG, writing FIG also. Okay. Point number 1. Warm and moisture laden. Basically, what is cloudburst? This is a slope, okay, and mainly in mountainous area. And this is intense air. The fast air is coming up, okay. And when it encounters a slope or a steep slope, it is going to rise. Orographic effect, it is going to rise. When something rises, adiabatic cooling happens. The air which is containing moisture, वो ठंडी होगी, it is going to cool down. When it is going to cool down, it is going to face condensation. जब उसमें condensation होगा, but what is happening in this cloudburst mechanism is continuous, intense, aggressive movement of air is happening against that slope. उससे क्या होता है कि cumulonimbus clouds बन जाते हैं over a small geographical area. Cumulonimbus clouds बन जाएंगे over a small geographical area, and the saturation limit of these clouds is going to reach. Why? Because the continuous supply of intense air is not allowing that cloud to give rainfall. The pressure is there from below, continuous pressure. A time will come where the limit is going to exceed, the saturation point is going to come, and it is going to pour the entire water in that cloud in that geographical area only in a very quick span of time. That leads to cloudburst, it leads to floods, landslides, sometimes earthquakes, and multiple disasters. What is happening? अब जो बात मैंने यहाँ कही इन कुछ लास्ट 1 मिनट में, अब इसी को, यही फिनोमेना है, इसको एक्सप्लेन करना है. क्या हुआ? Warm and moisture laden air encounter some mountaneous relief. बस ये डायग्राम आपको बना देना है. This diagram is going to guide you to write your entire answer. What actually happened in Aurora, Australis and Borealis, I have drawn that diagram. आप उस डायग्राम को बनाने के लिए 40-50 सेकेंड से लीजिए. Automatically the diagram is going to help you in designing or structuring your entire answer. See, ये मैं यहां तक मैंने पहला पॉइंट खत्म किया है. ओके, इंटेंस एयर राइजेस अलोंग द माउंटेन विद वायलेंट अपवर्ड मूवमेंट. ये देखिए, इंटेंस विंड. दिस इज माय सेकंड पॉइंट. एवरी पॉइंट इज वैलिड and relevant. Third point, adiabatic cooling leads to condensation and vertical cloud formation. See, I have mentioned adiabatic cooling and vertical cloud formation. Vertical clouds are what? Cumulonimbus clouds. Let's move forward now. Okay, now you can see the diagram also and you can see the point also. Adiabatic cooling हो गई थी. Vertical formation of clouds. Formation of cumulonimbus clouds I have written over a small area. Intense upward wind prevents precipitation, leads to excess water in the clouds. We explained that point. After crossing saturation limit, the whole water falls at one time, leading to cloudburst. Simple. This is how I have explained the entire phenomena. क्या हो रहा है वहाँ पे? First, I have defined it. कि what is the meteorological definition of cloudburst? How do they categorize it? And then I have explained the phenomena also. Then I have given some examples. Uttarakhand 2013, then Sikkim 2023, Nagaland 2024. Okay. Consequences. What are the consequences of cloudburst? This is extra information, additional information you can give. Because we have explained the mechanism, still we have good amount of space left. So we can give consequences, relevant additional information. Consequences क्या होंगे? Flash floods आएंगे, landslides होगा, explain कर दीजिए, North East Himalayas, Uttarakhand, Western Ghats. Then loss of life and property, obviously. Loss of biodiversity, flora and fauna. So these are the consequences of cloudburst. Then conclusion, solution-based. Understanding the wind pattern. Solution-based, understanding the wind pattern. Advanced warning system. With the help of space technology. Understanding the wind pattern. And advanced warning system with the help of space technology. Developing resilient infrastructure. And afforestation can decrease the impact of disasters like cloudburst in the vulnerable areas. And in bracket, I have mentioned Sendai framework, which calls for advanced warning of disasters and advanced preparedness. So I have given it a disaster management angle also. I have given solutions also in this conclusion. So this is how you will structure your answer. And this kind of phenomena-based questions can be addressed with the help of flowchart and diagram. You draw the diagram first, you well label it. The diagram is going to guide you to write your entire answer in the phenomena-based questions. Another question, an important question. What is sea surface temperature rise? How does it affect the formation of tropical cyclone? Demand number 1, demand number 2. In the mains examination also, you are going to write 1 and 2 like this. What should be our structure? Define sea surface temperature along with a relevant report. The thermal expansion, IPCC reports, there are multiple reports we are talking about the increase of temperature of the seawater. Multiple reports are talking about it. Body. Explain how it affects the formation of tropical cyclones along with examples. Okay, kitne examples? In a single year also, if you are following current affairs, basic current affairs, you will find multiple examples of cyclones. Conclusion. Suggest some adaptation and some mitigation measures. It is a 10-marker question, so we cannot have way forward where we can write 4 to 5 points. No, it is a 10-marker question. We'll have comparatively less space. उसी के according हमको conclusion ही solution based बना देना है. Adaptation and mitigation measures. Now let's look at the answer. What is sea surface temperature rise? How does it affect the formation of cyclone? मैं start कर रहा हूँ definition से. Sea surface temperature rise. I am writing SST so that I don't have to use this entire phrase again and again. This is how you save space also and time also. Space also and time also in mains examination. Sea surface temperature rise is increase in temperature of uppermost layer of ocean due to excess absorption of excess heat in atmosphere. Simply as simple language. Now I am supporting this definition with my report. Now this report and this definition, this report and this definition, see, this is my introduction part. This is the relevant report. This is the relevant report. First, I have defined it. Then, according to IPCC, 2023 has been the hottest year on record for average sea surface temperature crossing 20 to 21 degrees Celsius. This is the average sea surface temperature of entire Earth. Okay. Then I have shown the in the figure. I have shown आपको world map बनाना चाहिए. It should be, the world map should be very handy for you. How to draw world map quickly? I will show you. Quickly आपको इतनी सी छोटी सी स्पेस में भी वर्ल्ड मैप बनाना आना चाहिए. कुछ नहीं करना है. The process is very simple. First draw North America. Then draw South America. Okay. You can draw like this. अरे यार ये क्या बन रहा है हर बार. Sorry. You can draw South America, Greenland. Okay. Then Africa. Small Italy, Arabian Peninsula, straight away go like this. A small India, you can draw, and then Southeast Asia, and then like end like this, and then over here you can show Australia and New Zealand. Simply like this, आपको बनाना है. And you will be able to show anything. The importance is that you get the equator, This is the Indonesian part. Either you get the ocean currents, North Atlantic drift and Peru current. I've given examples also, and will have great impact on frequency and intensity of tropical cyclones. So now, when I will start my body, that is impact of sea surface temperature rise on tropical cyclones, it will be connecting dots. The last line is ending, and the same thing description is beginning. Okay, the same thing description is beginning. Okay, now see this. Introduction and then impact on formation of tropical cyclones. The first point is provide pre-existing condition. Sea surface temperature rise is what is actually happening in tropical cyclones. Is that warm, the low pressure area surrounded by high pressure area. The high pressure winds are going to get attracted. Due to Coriolis force, they are going to move, and formation of tropical cyclones around the eye of the cyclone. Provide pre-existing conditions. More severe, more warmer ocean will provide pre-existing conditions like more warmer ocean surfaces will intensify low pressure, increase the pressure gradient. The point is increase the pressure gradient, and increase the intensity of wind flow. Faster wind flow, more speed of the wind, the intense will be the cyclone. Okay, and then you can show a diagram also: intense low pressure, high pressure, high pressure, high pressure, and the flow of the wind. Okay, due to more intense high pressure gradient. Then second point, longer lifespan. Warm water will provide more moisture. Tropical cyclones का जो fuel होता है वो moisture होता है. जैसे ही वो लैंड एरिया के ऊपर आता है उसको वो फ्यूल मिलना बंद हो जाता है. द मॉइस्चर मिलना उसको, जो वाटर वेपर है वो मिलना उसको बंद हो जाता है. और जैसे ही वो लैंड पे आता है, इट एंड्स, द लाइफ ऑफ द ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन एंड्स बिकॉज इट इज नॉट गेटिंग इट्स फ्यूल एनी मोर. राइट. तो जितना ज़्यादा वार्म ओशन होगा उतना ही ज़्यादा वाटर वेपर होगा, उतना ही ज़्यादा फ्यूल होगा, फ्यूल होगा ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन के पास, और उतनी उसकी लाइफ स्पैन बढ़ेगी. तो फिर it is going to last for longer time. So it will have longer lifespan, like cyclone Remal in Odisha. Third point, increase latitudinal extent. Tropical cyclones are limited to tropical areas because ITCZ and all these things, the ITCZ is going to upper at a particular level only. But if the oceans are going to become warmer, the latitudinal extent, it is going to have its and so far. So warmer waters beyond tropics will increase area due to shift of isotherms to upper latitudes. Okay, this is the point. Hurricane Milton in Atlantic Ocean, actually in the near the Florida coast, had its impact on those latitudes जहाँ पे वो पहले normally नहीं देखे जाते थे. Why is it happening? Because of the warmer oceans. Extended warmer seasons. Increase in temperature can prolong the cyclone seasons. For example, if you see Cyclone Mandus, which was formed in 2022, it formed around 15 to 17 December, the second half of December. So normally it is formed in October, November, but it is that the warmer seasons are increasing. The time span of warmer season is increasing. So the time period जिसमें ये cyclones बन सकते हैं, that is also increasing. So it will impact the formation of tropical cyclones. Always remember the demand of the question. Demand से हटकर हमें बात नहीं करनी है. We have to satisfy the demand. So increase in temperature can prolong the cyclone in mid-December. Cyclone Mandus. It was Cyclone Remal. This is Hurricane Milton. Fifth point. Severe storms and more rainfall due to excess moisture will increase chances of flooding, obviously. जितना ज़्यादा moisture होगा जितना ज़्यादा गर्मी होगी, जितना ज़्यादा hot होगा, उतना ही low pressure intense होगा. The winds will high pressure to low pressure will have more intensity, more speed. The cyclone will be more severe, will have extra moisture, more fuel, more intense rainfalls across the wall of the cyclone, and will have negative impacts like flooding and disaster near the coast. right? Example is Biparjoy in Gujarat coast. Now conclusion, solution-based disaster management techniques like advanced warning, coast barriers like mangroves, need for adaptation, and decreasing global warming is need for mitigation. Okay, what I have written is disaster management techniques like advanced warning and coastal barriers like mangroves are needed for adaptation, and decrease in global warming is needed for mitigation. Because you have to sum up, because you don't have much space also. You have addressed both the demands of the question. You have done the justice with both the demands, explained the concept, and then you have given a solution-based conclusion. This is how you have to write mains answer. In the real life conditions, this is how you have to utilize the 2 pages which are given to you and the word limit which is given to us in the mains examination. This should be your. In geography, in terms of value addition, everyone is drawing maps. It is good, but कहीं उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. कहीं पे क्या पता diagram की जरूरत हो. For example, there is no need. Sometimes we do not need diagrams. Sometimes we need simple structures like this. आप इस तरह से explain करते जाइए. Low pressure, then high pressure, gradient is increasing. That is also going to help. Drawing a map and not labeling it there is no point of drawing it. Okay, if you're not labeling it, if you're not highlighting the important areas, there is no point of drawing the map just for the sake of drawing. The examiner is not a fool, will definitely understand that is just this place is just this map is just to fill the space. Okay. Last question. So till now you must have understood how to utilize the available information in the limited time framework. Okay, we are going to going to look at this question. What is a twister? Why are the majority of the twisters observed in areas around Gulf of Mexico? This is demand number 1. This is demand number 2. How to connect with the twisters? And the UPSC in the previous year has already asked that why most of the cyclones are now developed in South China Sea, Indian Ocean, and Gulf of Mexico. So from there you can take the hint of the twister is whether a cyclone or a tornado. Okay, so the word twister is more connected with tornado because already there is a name of hurricane and typhoons, willy, cyclone for cyclones. Okay, so this word is more connected to tornadoes. So how does a tornado actually basically forms? In a limited geographical area, in a particular geographical area, when there is a warm and moist air is rising. Warm air, low pressure is going to rise, and there is a descending cold air from the top. So warm air and the cold air, descending cold air, rising warm air, they come into the circulation. And what actually happens is the twisters are going to form. Tornadoes are going to form with intense velocity. The more intense the pressure gradient and the difference, the more intense will be the tornado. Introduction will be define twister. Body will be give characteristics of tornadoes, twisters. Elaborate why tornadoes come common around the Gulf of Mexico. Suggest some adaptive measures to handle this kind of situation. Now let's look. हमने twister को define किया. A twister is a colloquial term or a simple term which is associated with a tornado. आपने simply examiner को यही बता दिया. Which is a rapidly rotating column of air that extends from a thunderstorm to the ground. कोई भी thunderstorm develop होता है, तो descending air, rising warm air comes in contact and starts circulating. Can cause significant destruction. This is a kind of introduction which needs some specification. Then we are going to provide some characteristics of tornadoes. That is formation. Tornadoes बनते कैसे हैं? Typically form when severe thunderstorms, especially supercells, large or rotating thunderstorms. The interaction of कोई thunderstorm में, when there is a thunderstorm, and interaction of warm and moist air which is rising from the ground, interaction of warm and moist air and cold and dry air descending from higher altitudes create a powerful updraft. Structure. A tornado's a funnel clouds descends from the base of the thunderstorm. The rotating column of the air can vary in size from a very few meters over a kilometers wide. Then we are going to talk about the intensity. Tornadoes are classified on an enhanced Fujita scale, EF scale. This is some specific data. Majorly, you have to specify the mechanism, how they are formed. Then there is path and duration. The path they follow is northeast direction. Second demand of the question is why they are restricted to Gulf of Mexico. हमने देखा कि वो warm and moist air and thunderstorm area के अंदर form हो रहा है, जो condition उसको जो geographical area provide कर देगा, वहाँ tornadoes सबसे ज़्यादा बन जाएंगे. So Gulf of Mexico is providing those conditions. How warm and moist air, when this air moves northward, interacts with cooler, drier air from the land, it creates unstable atmospheric conditions conducive to severe thunderstorms. First of all, it is in the tropical area, surrounded by land, providing excess moisture. Clashing air masses, we discussed warm and moist air mass and dry descending cool air mass. Role of jet streams. The polar jet streams play a crucial role in tornado formation. It often dips southwards, bringing strong upper level winds that help to tilt the thunderstorm, allowing the rising warm air and falling cold air to coexist without immediate cancelling each out. Okay. Then we are going to provide the area around the Gulf of Mexico, particularly in the states like Texas. This is a particular state, a particular information. If you look at the map of North America, these are the states. America has 50 states, and these are the states which are bordering the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida is part of what is often referred to as Tornado Valley. Okay, the region around Gulf of Mexico, these are the states. Okay, for example, if we draw the map of Gulf of Mexico, this is Hudson Bay. Okay. Sorry. This is Gulf of Florida. Okay. This is Isthmus of Panama. And here is the South America starting. So let's leave that. This area, this is Gulf of Mexico. And the Louisiana and the Texas and the Florida, this is Florida, and Louisiana, this is Mississippi. All these states which are bordering Gulf of Mexico are the American states. Okay. So this is how you can draw the map also. Then, in the conclusion, what we have to mention is twisters or tornadoes formed in the condition where warm and moist airs are formed. Significance-based conclusion also we can give. We can give adaptive measures which we can take during tornadoes. We can also give that. So this brings us to the end of our discussion. The point to remember over here is, again I will use the word demand of the question. Do not leave the class. Listen, these points are very crucial. This is summarizing points. Demand of the question. Giving justice to all the demands of the question. Okay. Third is relevant and subject specific. It should have subject specific touch also. Subject specific intro and body. What should be the flow of the answer? What should be the flow of the answer? The flow of the question should be the flow of the answer. Okay. Use headings from the question itself. Do not confuse the examiner and put heading in box. In box. Okay. Point number 6. Use flowchart in phenomena based questions. Flowchart in phenomena based questions. Label or mention the locations in the map or diagram. Very important. There is no point of drawing it. Okay. Conclusion in geography. Significance based. Solution based. In both cases, you have to be optimistic. That is positive approach. Ninth, mandatory way forward. In problem based, (15-mark) questions. Okay, so these are the important takeaways which you are going to have from this session of ours. I hope you got some perspective. I hope you got some insights that how to write the data, the points, how to write the introduction and conclusion in the real exam conditions, having those 2 pages and address the demand of the question, doing justice with all the demands of the question, how to address mechanism and the phenomena based questions. So everything is very important. You can watch this video multiple times. Now your duty is to write these answers on your own. You can refer to this video, you can look at these answers again and again, and you write these answers on your own. You can add your own value points, you can have your own diagrams, your own language, but you can take the hint from these answers. These are not ideal answers. This is more realistic based. Like these what I have written, this answer can be written in 7 minutes and 11 minutes or 10 minutes. So I kept that thing in mind, that reality, the real life exam conditions is more important in discussing mains question. All the very best. I hope you got some insights. Thank you so much.